Hi, this is your 2019 yearly horoscopes with me, Lada, from Astrolada.com. Thank you for choosing me to be your guide for the year 2019. I feel very flattered. And I just want, before we start, and this is the intro for all 12 signs, but it's important for you to watch it. And before I start for each sign, I want to invite you to join me in a little prayer, no matter who you believe in and what you believe in, just to focus our energy and to benefit the most through this reading. Dear Mother, Father, Universe, God, exalted angels, guardians of every human, those that are helping the evolution of humanity and of every individual person. Please bless everyone who watches those videos and the whole world in 2019. Let those videos and the information that is given here be useful to everyone, so everyone can use it to the most constructive possible ways, to the highest vibration of the planets. And even if there are challenging periods and moments in our life in 2019, let this video and this information give us not only clarity but a meaning and understanding of those more painful experiences that are in front of us, so we realize that life is not an adversary to battle with and conquer, that life is our benevolent good partner that is trying to lead us to discover our true authenticity. It is trying to lead us to a place of happiness, to a place of truthfulness. So let this year 2019 and the information we receive here, let us use it to the highest good for everyone involved, and let us be able to utilize the planetary energies to help ourselves, to uplift ourselves and those around us. Amen. So I want for you to benefit the most. Thank you so much for joining me, by the way, in the prayer. So for you to benefit the most from this, I want you to take a pen and paper and write down 3 things. And some of you would be just listening your sun sign. Others would be just listening to your moon sign. Others bought all the 12 videos, so you'll be able to be watching your ascendant, sun, and moon. But I always advise you, watch your ascendant sign, because if you go to a professional astrologer, they'll look at your ascendant and how the planets are in correspondence, where they're moving from that ascendant. And nowadays, more and more astrologers are using the ancient time of astrology, which is whole sign house system. So these videos are perfect. The whole sign house system is what when first astrologers created it, the system they were using it. So without the house cusps and anything. So the ascendant is the point of incarnation of the physical body. So it is of the soul into the physical body. It is the physical bodies. That's why it shows the most tangible things that are happening to us. That's why I always advise, check the prognosis for your ascendant sign. The moon sign is our inner world, how we feel, our self-consciousness. So the moon usually manifests the second most powerful after the ascendant sign, because we especially strongly identify with how we feel about something, and something that impacts us emotionally. And even though, for example, from the ascendant, some big event might be happening, like changing of place of living, but from the moon, it's shown that, for example, you will be having a quarrel with a friend. For you, this will be a way bigger deal, because emotionally this feels much stronger for you, this quarrel with a friend, for example, than the relocation that's happening. But from the ascendant, it shows the specific things that are happening in your life in a tangible way, because the ascendant is the material body and what is happening to us on our path in that material body. And the sun sign is what most of the people only check, and but that's pop astrology. But still, the sun sign is very important. The sun sign is our willpower, our goals. It's our ability to channel divine intelligence. And the sun sign will show us, looking at the prognosis from the sun sign, will show us especially the things that we are striving towards to achieve consciously. And the prognosis for the sun sign, we tend to have more free will over that prediction, what you're going to read, because the sun is connected to free will, while the moon symbolizes the past. These are things that often happen. The prediction from the moon are encoded from the past, while from the ascendant sign, it's sealed in stone, so to speak, So yes, checking the sun sign is very important, especially because you can direct the events there more with your free will. The moon sign, you feel like it's more fated and it affects your feelings the most and your personal life. And the ascendant sign is the most tangible event. So I would advise start with the ascendant sign and progress. And for you to know, though, a lot of people don't know, the sun sign is the one that everyone speaks about. You know, like, oh, what are you? I'm an Aries. It means I'm born from March the 20th to April 20th, something like that. But and I can give you predictions for, oh, if you're born from March 1st to March 5th, this and this will be happening for you. But every year they change, the sun moves into a different sign a day before or after, and I want to be way more precise for you. So instead of giving you days, we're gonna find the degrees of your sun, the degrees of your moon, and the degrees of your ascendant signs. And for some of you, the moon and the ascendant might be the same, or the sun and the moon. Rarely, but it happens. So for you to find this out, I want you to, and I'm going to share my screen with you. Let me just. Here it is. Share. So I hope you see it. Go to my birth website, astrolada.com. You see it here. And go to the birth chart and transits. Or if you have any other astrology calculator, I don't mind, as long as it gives you the information that I'm going to show. So here I'm going to put a fictitious person, let's say whatever name. Write your name. So you're born in August the 6th, 1972, for example, at 8 a.m. Or make sure that if you're born later, you check if it's 8 p.m., 20, And it's important for your correct ascendant and for the degree, in particular for the ascendant and the direct degree of the moon, the correct sign and degree of the moon, for you to know your minute of birth. If you don't know it within 15, 20 minutes, the degree of the ascendant might be 3 or 4 degrees off, but the moon degree would usually be correct. But say you're born 8/17, and say you're born in the USA, and you're born in New York, and you have the drop-down menu. Which New York are you born in? Well, there are many New Yorks, say New York Hospital, whatever. And continue, press continue. And then you're gonna get this chart, and I want you to scroll down, you see, not here, but here inside. And you're gonna see this, which shows planetary details. And I want you to, there is abbreviation of ascendant, sun, and moon. This is the only work you have to do. After that, just listen and enjoy and wait to hear your degrees. I'll be speaking generally about each sign, but especially when I mention the degree of the sign that you have. This is when things are going to, you're going to feel them so intensely. So this person, for example, has ascendant, which means your rising sign is the same. Ascendant, rising means the same. The physical body, it is at 20 degrees Aquarius. I want you to write just the first degree. The second one is not so important. This is 28 minutes. This is very minimal. So 20 degrees, write down on a piece of paper, Aquarius 20 degrees. You have to watch the video for Aquarius. And every time I mention Aquarians born, say, from 17 to 21 degrees, and you're 20, they'll experience this in particular this year. And you should be like, okay, this is very specific for you. It's gonna manifest. You're gonna feel it. Then write down your sun sign. This person, for example, has sun at 14 degrees Leo. And the moon sign. The moon sign for this person is at 16 degrees Cancer. So if you've bought, for example, if your sun is in Leo, make sure that you know the degree for your sun. So in this case, this is the sign. The sun is the sign everyone knows. I'm a Leo, I'm a Virgo, So, but make sure you check the degree of your sun. Check the degree of your sun. Check the degree of your ascendant or moon, whichever one you're waiting. And then, so for example, if you have the all 15 videos, this person has to check the video for Aquarius, Leo, and Cancer. So I hope it's not too complicated. It's actually quite simple. You can watch the video a few times to understand what it means. But now know the degree. Write it down, have it on a piece of paper, and whatever you're listening to, if it's your moon sign that you're listening, knowing the degree, when you hear your moon degree, you're like, ting, that's specific for me. For the ascendant sign, overall, the whole prediction is very correct. While for the sun and moon sign, again, you would feel it maybe to a lesser degree, but especially when I mention your sun or moon degree, this is going to, it's happening. Whatever I talk about, it's happening. You feel it strongly. It's going to be so important for you that year. So, with that introduction, thank you so much. And we're going to start with the signs one by one. Scorpio 2019. Well, guys, in 2018, if you remember, Jupiter was transiting your sign. So it means that there were a lot of new beginnings, important new beginnings for many of you. Which will be giving results for 12 years after that. And unfortunately, sometimes for Scorpio, new beginnings, they might be often accompanied by some kind of crisis occurring initially, because this is the nature of Scorpio. And Jupiter expands whatever it touches, so it expanded the sudden onset of unexpected or life-changing reversals, sometimes a bit dramatic, cathartic, crisis-prone. But also Jupiter laid the foundation for new beginnings and for opportunities that can grow over. And in this year, Jupiter is going to be in your second house, 2019, almost till December. This is the symbol of Jupiter, and it's in the second house. And the second house is about basically those new beginnings that started. You have to implant them further deep into your life. You have to consolidate them now. Second house is about stabilizing something, about giving a stronger support in your life of whatever you started. And also, you're going to start seeing some of the results of those new beginnings. Especially when there is a new beginning, yes, it can be exhilarating, and sometimes it can be scary of some sort. New opportunities as well, Jupiter brought in the first house. But now it's gonna want you to start seeing the results, especially the material, the tangible results of those new beginnings, whether scary, difficult, positive, exciting, or more, whatever they were that started. And those new beginnings, especially the Scorpio ascendant Feldam and the Scorpio sun people and Scorpio moon as well, but in that order usually. But now you're going to have to, and Jupiter is going to expand on those new beginnings, and it's going to provide more support for you. So you can develop those new beginnings, you can kind of it's going to provide you the resources that you need. Maybe Jupiter gave you some new ideas when it was in your sign, but now you're going to find the necessary resources to make this happen, to start making those in a concrete reality, because the second house is very tangible, and Jupiter allows or brings things to us wherever it passes. It also will put you in a state of mind, because Jupiter rules our higher consciousness, which is more in line with the beliefs of there is more resources. Many people we're brought up like that, or we observe that there is not enough resources, that money is not enough, or money is just for select groups, or that, oh, I can never find those resources or whatever. But Jupiter is going to expand your consciousness now, especially since it is in Jupiter in Sagittarius. It's sign of higher knowledge, of higher understanding in your beliefs. So your beliefs will be transformed, they will grow, they will expand in regards to what you believe is possible financially, materially, as a tangible results in your life. So a lot of you might even adopt beliefs that there is abundance, that the universe provides what you need. You might start getting very interested, some of you, in taking such courses or classes like courses in miracles, but particularly in regards to resources and finances, in particular in regards to creating wealth or creating and manifesting, because Jupiter is the planet of belief. And it's very strong when it transits Sagittarius. It's its own sign. So it becomes like a double whammy belief system, expansion of your beliefs. And miracles happen when you believe. And you're going to start believing that you're worth more. You're going to start believing and you're going to start recognizing your true worth, whatever it is. Because Sagittarius is the sign of truth. And Jupiter is there in your second house, Scorpios. And you're going to feel like, you're gonna start realizing your truth of what is valuable for you, and you might realize that you don't need certain material things, because Jupiter in Sagittarius is quite spiritual and high-minded in nature as well. And you're gonna almost like liberate you, because Jupiter has liberating influence from certain desires, material desires, let's say, that are burdensome, or it's gonna liberate you from beliefs that were restrictive. Maybe you always believe that money doesn't grow on tree, or that uh, I don't know, it's anything to do with resources, so that you'll never, only the rich drive this kind of car, or only, that it's impossible for you to go from 30,000 to 500,000 salary or something like that, or earns or gainings of some sort, or to have that money in your bank. But Jupiter will start making you and helping you see that this is possible, to believe that. And as I said, you somehow will come across readings, belief systems, books of some sort, or teachings on YouTube or whatever, because Jupiter is high in knowledge, that teach you how to manifest those resources, how to attract those resources. But the foundation thing is that they teach you to start believing that it is possible. To start, and Jupiter is a planet of gratitude. And I would advise you, if you want to benefit truly from this transit, and if you really want to expand your resources, the available resources and assets, to do a list of positive gratitude, what it is that you have currently appreciated. Jupiter is a planet that is thankful, that is grateful, that believes that everything is provided for when it's in the second house. So adopt that state of consciousness, and it will come more easier to you, this state of consciousness. You'll start believing it is possible, and start writing your gratitude list for the material things that you currently have. Because in order for you, like the Bible says, those who have, more will be given to them. Those who do not have, everything will be taken from them. But there is a word that's missing from the original text in the Bible, which is those who have gratitude, more will be added unto them. They'll own the world. Those who don't have gratitude, even the things that they have will be taken from them. So apply this belief system, and you're going to see miracles happening, because Jupiter allows miracles and divine blessings when you align with its vibrations, which is to believe and to be grateful and to believe. Enumerate daily what it is you're grateful for, that you have running water, that you have the food that you have, whatever it is, especially on material level. Because every time we look at what we don't have, we create this state of consciousness of lack. And Jupiter wants to teach you state of consciousness of material abundance when you transit the second house. And you'll see it will support you with science, with coming across the right books, with coming across people or circumstances that exude abundance and wealth and availability of resources and success. Even if you're just in the vicinity of such people, think about such things more. But you have to be grateful, you have to be excited, and you have to, first of all, be grateful for what you have, and more will be added. And then the trick after that is start becoming grateful for things that you don't already, that you still don't have. But don't say, I'm grateful that I will have in the future a beautiful car, or that I'll have in the future enough resources to be able to travel, or whatever it is, resources that you need for, enough money. No, say your gratefulness and write your gratefulness in a state of consciousness as if you already have it. And you say, I'm grateful now that I have 100,000 in my bank, or I'm grateful now that my salary is twice as big, or I'm grateful now that I have this valuable thing that I desire. So, I'm Jupiter will give to you. But it will help you generate this state of consciousness in this year. And if you create this state of consciousness also consciously, purposefully, for the next 12 years, you'll see the fruits of what you did, of this expansion of your awareness of your self-worth, and your awareness and your expansion of your belief in material prosperity. And but this is the year you cultivate this. This is the year it's possible for you to start believing, not just repeating it to yourself and then still feeling miserable. No, your mind will align to that much easier because of this Jupiter in the second house. And then, even if you don't see immediately the results now, some of you will. especially Jupiter is making good aspects from the second house to other planets in your horoscope, but that's more for a personal horoscope. If you have other planets in fire or air signs that Jupiter is trining from your second house, you're going to start seeing those results materially manifesting and expanding your valuables, your resources. By the end of the year 2019, you might have, I've seen people like almost double and triple their financial situation in such, and their bank accounts in such circumstances. But for some of you, it might be just the beginning of the change of consciousness, that you start believing it's possible, that you cultivate this gratefulness state for what you already have, and gratefulness state for the material things that you don't have yet, but you state it as you have it, like it's happened, and you try and feel it. You feel, when you say thank you, you feel it from your heart, you let it vibrate here. And if you adopt that, believe me, you'll see that something that this year was pivotal and determining for changing your whole financial situation for life. I can tell you that years ago, when Jupiter was transiting my second house, this is exactly what happened. And this is what I started doing. And I didn't see immediately, basically, I still haven't completed this 12-year cycle, Jupiter coming back there. But this is when I started doing affirmations and imagining that I have all those things that I wanted, the resources, because I had a very poor consciousness and mentality of self-worth. My self-worth was very, very low, which is the second house as well. And it reflected that I never had money for anything, basically just pay rent. So the available resources were pretty constricted. This is when I changed my consciousness with repeated affirmations, with movies that I created, and I watched them on the background of my laptop, and it's been giving amazing results now. And this is what kickstarted the process. But opportunity also appeared. Opportunities appear that you can start now, that will stabilize your finances. That will, and again, it might give its results immediately, sometimes a bit later, but stay tuned, because the universe will bring those to you. Your mind is more aligned to the abundance of the universe, of this world, and you'd find yourself that you may be in the right place at the right time, and you intuitively recognize what is worthy, of your time, what is worthy of your efforts, what is valuable. You're gonna start recognizing the intrinsic value of something. So somehow your value system will be upgraded. It will also help you improve your self-worth, to grow a healthier self-worth, to expand on it. And once you start believing you're worthy of something, whatever it is, you're going to attract it. This is the secret of the whole life. And this is and it's funny, because Jupiter is very spiritual, the second house very material, but we can apply spiritual, that's why they kind of clash, because the second house is the house of naturally of Venus, luxuries, material things, but you can apply spiritual principles into material life, and they manifest. So okay, so that it can be a year your opportunities for expansion of finances appear. And not only that, but Jupiter is going to make a full 100% trinal aspect, which is very powerful and positive, to your second house, especially if you have your ascendant in Scorpio. To a lesser degree, moon and sun, but you will also feel it. And to your 10th house from your sign Scorpio. And these are all Artha or earth houses, which are about material manifestations. So Jupiter can expand your resources by finding you a new job or bringing more work to you. Or Jupiter can also expand your resources through promotion of some sort, the 10th house, by bringing more leadership opportunities, possibilities for more public visibility of some sort, achieving some of your career goals or career project of some sort. So that can be a good time also to maybe get a better job, or to give you more clarity in regards to what your material goals are, and what is really worthy for you, and what is the self-worth for you. And again, faith plays a great role in this, that it expands your faith, and that it expands the good circumstances around you, and you're finding yourself in the right place at the right time, maybe to see an ad for work, or maybe to see some opportunity materially, and opportunity to buy something, to invest in something. The second house is what we do with our money, and Jupiter starts making you more knowledgeable in regards to that. Some of you might decide to study something because Jupiter is about higher knowledge, expanding your horizons. In regards to how to invest or what to do with money or what to do with valuables. And this would be very auspicious time for that. Anyone who is in a second house career of any type, they'll see proliferation and growth of those opportunities in their business. And second house businesses is anything that you keep, storekeeper, storage facilities of any sort, places where you store knowledge, archives of any sort, or where you store information as well, database storage of any sort. If you're in any such careers, it will expand to people that work with valuables, someone who works in an auction house, or someone who works in, you know, uh, place where others go and pawn their things, or someone who works with the hair, with the eyes, with the mouth. The second house rules those with voice as well. They can be the kick-starting of your career and opportunities through singer-songwriting, through makeup artistry, to hairdressing of some sort as well. And that's going to give abundance and proliferation for even acquiring valuable objects. And Jupiter will give you access to more desirable possessions. It can even make you feel like a bit over expand yourself, to spend a bit more. Like my husband just had Jupiter in the second house, and our material situation really improved as well. But he kind of started relaxing because he naturally has Saturn in the second house, and he's always been like very, let's say, stingy with money, or very never throwing out anything. And Jupiter in the second house allowed him to relax about such things, to change his consciousness that there is more abundance. And because he saw it in the reality about us, and he was more willing to let go of things he doesn't need anymore. Uh, some like clothes from 15 years ago, objects that are broken that he thought he might still use, and that he started relaxing and spending more and thinking that money is here not to just save them. Money is here to improve the quality of your life on a material level. So he adopted this state of consciousness, which I'm happy. So he started ordering on Amazon and stuff. Before that, he was always very careful never to order something, never to. And I said, you need to act like someone who has resources in abundance in order to keep it, in order to grow it, because there is a story I'll tell you. I know I'm making it a bit long, but it's so important this year for you, for your state of consciousness and attitude towards resources and finances. It's going to define how things will go for you for the next 12 years in that department. So there is a story. This guy, and that's a true story, this guy was saving all his life. He had a very good salary, but he was working for a company. But his whole family, he was very stingy, and they lived like, they'll not go. They bought the cheapest food, the cans and stuff, and the cheapest resources, and they didn't go to nice holidays. So they lived as if they didn't have money because they were saving all. And he thought like, oh, that's great, we're saving all. And when he retired, he had about 1 million or 2 million saved, and he decided to invest it, to keep growing it, and he invested in a pyramid scheme. And the pyramid scheme basically, it all disappeared within a few months. So basically, the universe reflected to him what he was putting out for so many years in his life. Because he lived like a poor person, he has the consciousness of poor person, even though he had the resources. And instead of using those resources to improve his life, to do something good, with it, to enjoy it even, and then the universe just took those money from him, and he kept on living like he's ever lived. He lost all his savings, and he kept on living. The universe reflected to him. He kept on living in the same state he's always lived in. So it's Jupiter is going to bring you strong awareness and understanding about what are you doing with your valuables and your attitude towards resources and finances, and what you are worth as well, and so that you can, but it's gonna do it in a good way. So it's gonna expand on those, on your understanding, on your philosophical understanding on that topic in your life. So it changes your state of consciousness in those matters. So hopefully the same doesn't happen to you, or and there, of course, other extremes, someone who spends everything, doesn't save a single dollar or whatever, and just doesn't, again, such a person does not understand the value of money. The two extremes, they don't understand the value of money. For them, money is either god to serve and to, or money is worthless. So it's not, none of those is the answer. And Jupiter gives you, when it's in the second house, the understanding, the right attitude, the truthful attitude, or at least takes you a step closer to the truthful attitude in regards to what it is, material, what is the right attitude to material things. And it's wrong to think material things are, they're bad with spiritual people. It's bad to charge for services if you're doing spiritual work or something. This is again wrong, because you're underappreciating yourself, you're undervaluing money. It's not gonna come to you, you're not gonna attract it, or it's not gonna stick to you. Or the other thing, like this guy, have money but live like a pauper and scrimp and save everything and don't use it to improve your life quality. Money is there, and for you, Scorpio especially, you have to appreciate that and understand that money and resources, which is the second house, is there to give you freedom, which is Sagittarius, to give you a better quality of life, and to allow you to do the things that you really want to do, basically. So this is the state of consciousness you have to do, and start living a little bit like, I'm not saying fake it till you make it. This is a stupid way, because of course you can spend all your savings this way, because Jupiter in the second is willing to spend more. It's inclined usually to spend more, but spending, being able to appreciate the right things on which to spend, especially in regards to increasing your knowledge, because this is Jupiter, in regards to increasing your understanding on something. These are good things to spend on, and you'll have a better ability to understand what's more valuable and worthy, where to invest, so Jupiter would expand on all those things, and hopefully at the end you'd have a much better, much bigger, much more truthful understanding, and the right way of attracting the right and good resources in your life, basically. And people who are, for example, also working in banking, they can have a very good year. People who are working in history as well. History is the second house. Jupiter can expand your love for history or interest for history. It can expand your love for your family lineage, which is the second house. You can understand a lot about that, or find out about it as well, because Jupiter is understanding and clarity. You can expand your knowledge generally about traditions and customs. Jupiter does that. And if you work in any career connected to history, to customs, to traditions, they can be success and deeper understanding and opportunities for you to grow there. What else is the second house? People that work in food industry as well, because the second house is what we put in our body, is the food, the available resources for us. They will do much better. That can be, they will, for example, expand their business, or they'll have access to new, exciting, interesting products and foods, and they'll innovate in some way and expand their menu, or expand their knowledge about and understanding about the food. But generally, for everyone who is Scorpio, Jupiter in the second house will allow you to have more better food, for example, and to have the knowledge of what is the right food for you, what is the food that uplifts you, that makes you feel happy, because Jupiter is knowledge, don't forget. It's answers that are the right answers, the truth. So you'd get more aligned to what is the truthful and good food for you, and things that you put in your body, and things that will be more that will raise your consciousness, your state of happiness, and your productivity in any way as well. But there is one other thing: when Jupiter transits the second house, we might be inclined sometimes to eat more, because of course the second house is where we eat, what we put in the mouth. Jupiter can expand that. So I'm not saying you're going to definitely, but that's a likelihood. So does Saturn when it transits the second house, because Saturn keeps everything, so it does not release the nutrients in our body. It keeps everything and piles up. But Jupiter in the second, in particular, as well. Also, you can attract a lot of valuable things that you consider, attractive. You can start living with the consciousness of more abundance, and it will manifest and reflect in your life. And you can have more intuition where to invest your money, the right thinking the right way as well. Also, the second house rules with spoke, that is the mouth, the voice. Anyone who works with the voice, with beauty as well, with products for beauty, for products, for luxury products of any sort, and commodities that are about pleasure and the five senses, just like the food industry, restaurants, and makeup people, makeup experts and makeup artists and hairstylists. These are all luxury stuff that are connected to beauty, to smells, to perfumes as well, to textiles, to materials. You'd have better year. There will be more access to better resources. You'll find more understanding about your uh, products. You'd find the right commodities and resources, basically, and expand on those things. Okay, so this is Jupiter, but generally, even if you're not in those careers, you can just start buying more stuff that are more, that you're more, that you enjoy more. But generally, for everyone, there is opportunities to expand your resources. There is opportunity even for improvement of work conditions, and even a debt of some sort to improve or to move forward with, and of course with career. But don't forget that Jupiter is making 3 times a square to Neptune, which is in your fifth house, Scorpio. So there might be certain expenses connected to the fifth house, and there might be some losses or expenses that are that appear because of your children. You have to do some expenses on your children that can drain some of those resources. But Jupiter is there in the second house. It allows you to find the resources that you need no matter what. Don't worry, there is the support. But you might have to spend some on children, or you might just spend some on some creative project. And it doesn't mean it's wrong to spend on that creative project. It just can feel that it's draining some of your, resources there. Or you might have to spend more on some, on lover of some sort, or some on fun and enjoyment. So this is where you can overspend. Fifth house things, creative projects, children, lovers, or entertainment of any sort. Okay. Then, and those financial opportunities that will appear might feel like they slow down when Jupiter goes retrograde, which happens from April the 10th to August the 11th. So in that period, spring and summer, you can feel like, well, I thought the money and is going to grow, my positivity about those things. But this is usually when Jupiter goes retrograde, for you to kind of, to those opportunities that came, they can come back again for you to work stronger, or you might have to work behind the scenes to make them happen, to lead you to more abundance, or they might slow down so you can integrate this consciousness. And then after August the 11th, if you've been working on something, have to put more effort in regards to creating more material financial security, or matters connected to products connected to beauty, to hair, to food, all those things that we talked about, to valuable resources. They will start giving results after mid of August onwards. At the same time, you have Saturn in your third house, and it's in its own sign, so it makes it much more easy to deal. And Saturn's been there already in 2018, so many of you have felt it from 2018, but it continues in 2019 to be there. Just to mention that Ketu, the south node, which is in astrology is indicated like that, is also in the third house. And let's talk a little bit about that. And it's the whole year that they're there together. Well, Saturn actually is quite a good transit to pass to the third house, because it tends to give, yes, it will give difficulties, and we'll speak what they are, but the final results are usually quite positive, especially when it's in its own sign. So the third house is your communication. And Saturn's ultimate goal is to streamline those communications, to make them more organized, your thinking processes, to make them more simple, more efficient, more organized, more to remove the unnecessary things, to teach you to be more structured communicator and more structured thinker. But in the process of achieving that, what can happen is that you might feel that you have that you are not really enjoying the normal everyday chit chat, because third house is like, oh, hi, how are you doing? You know what this did? Or, oh, and you don't have patience or time for everyday banter and superficial communications. You might find yourself that you you are considering that gossiping, talking around, or just even socializing on a daily basis with people. If you normally like to talk on the phone, which is not something Scorpios are very known for, because they already have Capricorn in their third house, so their communications are quite Saturnian. As you know, Saturn is very suspicious, and Saturn is a sign that Saturn and Capricorn, they're reserved. So that's why Scorpio is known as a sign that is reserved in their communications. They observe, they kind of stay detached first. And that comes from Saturn in Capricorn in the third house. But now Saturn is there, and you might find yourself even more like staying away and kind of distancing yourself from everyday communications, just jumping into conversations. You're kind of more reserved and you just observe more. And you even find it useless to do like silly banter and chit chat. And you might even dry out your sense of humor or make it quite sarcastic when Saturn is there, a bit of a dark sense of humor. And that again, naturally, the dark sense of humor of Scorpios comes because Capricorn is the third house of communication, and Capricorn is, it's sarcastic sign. It sees the negative in things and what's wrong, and talks about that. And you can find yourself that you're talking more about those things that are going wrong or more negative things. So it's you have to be more careful, because sometimes Saturn transit in the third house can create bouts of mental depression, because Saturn suppresses whatever house is transiting, lowers the vibration. Third house is your everyday mental narrative, what it is that you're talking in your head. And Saturn can usually lower it, so you tend to notice the more negative things that are happening, or talk more about them, or discuss them more. And we don't want that to happen. And if you start noticing yourself with a more negative mentality, that your mind is on a negative loop of some sort, and that you're starting to see the world in darker colors, uh, and that's more likely now, especially if you have already susceptibility to that. Just the remedy and the cure for that is to distance yourself, because Saturn wants us to distance ourselves and to say, okay, these are just thoughts, this is not me, this is not the reality, these are just thoughts, and to get this a detached perspective. And Ketu is going to help you for that, because Ketu is a very spiritual planet, and it's also transiting your third house, and it is a planet that's connected to taking the role of the witness. Because remember that what spirituality and meditation is about, to recognize that you're a witness in a movie, and like this is what all Buddhist traditions, meditation and things, to be able to observe your thoughts pass in front of you. Ketu in the third house helps you disconnect from the association that your thoughts are your own, and helps you adapt the attitude of a witness observer, and that, oh, these are just thoughts, they're not realities so far yet, and they shouldn't influence my feelings, and why should I get depressed? So yes, Saturn can lower and make you feel more negative towards things, and a bit more dour and serious, and with this inclination to a bit of mental depression. But at the same time, Ketu allows you to take that role of the observer, of the witness, and to disconnect from those thoughts. And to disconnect, and even this can be a good time for meditation. Saturn also wants to streamline and cut off the unnecessary chatter in your mind. Its ultimate goal for Saturn is to reduce. And Ketu wants to disconnect you from the association of daily things and daily everyday things, that this is not you. So this can be a good time for quieting the mind, for slowing it down, and Saturn will also help slow down the mind. But if you start noticing that you're too negative, just take that break. You might even need a bit more time alone when Saturn transits the third house, because the third house is the social house, where like, oh, let's do this, what's this happening, daily meetings and staff communications, chit chat, hanging out with friends. And Saturn will be like, oh, I need time alone, I need time to put order in my thoughts, to straighten out my head. And Ketu is like, let's observe those thoughts and detach from them. So sometimes social isolation of some sort also comes when Saturn transits the third house, but usually the person wants it and they need it. And the final outcome of the Saturn in the third house, of course, is more organized thoughts, more control over your thoughts. Not that Scorpio needs more of that, but obviously now, and more, and on a more physical, material level, basically, it can make you more efficient communicator. Uh, with no beating around the bush. Not that you need it, you already have Capricorn there. But for some Scorpios, it is, and it will make you cautious not to say things, sometimes. You already are. As I said, this is your natural state there. Saturn, the planet that rules your third house, it's in Capricorn. So, but it's gonna make you kind of be more cautious what you say, not speak trivial things. But it kind of drains the joy of social contacts. Like go to a party and just talk about things. You might want to talk about deep things or serious things, all the time. Or your mind might be too much on work and responsibilities and duties. This is what Saturn is. But it's gonna make you, for example, if you're a writer or a speaker, Saturn there, after repeated efforts, will allow you to kind of cut off the unnecessary. If you repeat too much, like I do, Saturn will make it much after this period, after it passes the third house. It will make you streamline these communications, make them more simple, make them more chop off the unnecessary appendages there from those things. But Saturn can increase the workload connected to third house matters. So there can be a lot of duties and responsibilities connected to business administrative tasks. Third house rules writing letters, reports, administrative duties, marketing, advertising, media. So if you're in any of those careers, marketing, writing, business administration, media, speaking, training, teaching, using the hands, Saturn will bring a lot of responsibilities. It usually can be quite good for careers like that. Yes, it brings a lot of duties and a lot of kind of worries about those things, and it draws out because it slows down such projects. Yes, it brings more of those such responsibilities, but it makes them, you complete them only after repeated efforts. It doesn't happen from the first time, or it takes much longer than you expected. So you might find yourself in a lot more longer business meetings, or a lot more multiple or more kind of that kind of draining business meetings with a lot of if you're working in a small group environment with others, like a team, heavy responsibilities with teammates, and those projects together, they take longer. They're just very demanding. They're just very with a lot of hard work to do. Or if you have projects on marketing, on sales, on advertising, they slow down. Also, sales, I'm not saying that you're gonna suffer materially from that, but any kind of completion of a sales or any completion of some kind of a commercial transaction just take longer, requires more efforts and repeated efforts of a few times, but it's going to give good results eventually. It's going to give very long lasting and stable results, but it just requires more efforts. Maybe it's just a bit way over your head, and Saturn is teaching you to take a more serious, more serious and let's say more responsible projects of that sort. So anyone heavy responsibilities with media, with marketing, with business administration, but repeated efforts are needed there. This is also though where you have heavy responsibilities about learning and more self-discipline about learning some new skill. And this can be, it can feel like it's a bit grueling, but again, Saturn allows you to learn something, to really, really deeply learn it and to really implant it. And once you learn something, when Saturn transits the third house, you master it. You don't just learn it. And it might feel very difficult though while you're learning this new skill. It might feel like, it's overwhelming. Or you might be studying. You might be in university or taking some course or class that is quite demanding, that requires a lot of repetition, that requires a lot of trying over and over, and it can feel like you can have some heavy responsibilities about learning something new skill, and you might not feel very enthusiastic about learning that thing. It might be imposed on you because this is the nature of Saturn. Or because Ketu is also there. You kind of like, oh, I don't want to do that. Ketu is like, oh, I'm disinterested. I'm apathetic about this. Or I'm apathetic about my administrative duties. I'm apathetic about doing sales now. I'm apathetic and a kind of a bit disinterested in doing marketing, advertising, daily chit chat, or meetings, business meetings, or commercial transactions of any sorts. But you have to. Like, you're like, oh, I don't want to, but oh, I have to. There are so many of those responsibilities. So again, the best attitude to accept now and to apply is to this attitude of detachment. I'm going to do the responsibilities I have to. It might be hard. I'm going to take this course. I'm going to finish this, educational course or whatever. Yes, there might be grueling exams or repetition. Yes, I'm not very interested in that, Ketu. It's like my mind is in spiritual things with Rahu in the ninth house. I'm interested in exploring the world and, not these kind of daily tasks that I have to do, mundane tasks and repetitive kind of duties of the lower mind and of just of manual skill or of mental skill. But still, you have to fulfill that responsibility. Saturn is there, is not letting you off the hook. And you have to accept that it is what it is. I'm going to accept that the results, and, I'm going to do my responsibilities, and I'm going to let it go to God, whatever the results are. Because Ketu, you need to accept, to kind of apply such kind of attitude of let go and let God, whatever the results, I'm leaving it in God's hands. Because if you have very kind of specific expectations, say if you're making a marketing campaign, or if you're working on some business brand, or if you're working on something with small team environment, or if you're working in media or anything, this third house commercial business activities of any sort, and you have very specific expectations of what the result should be, Ketu does not allow that. It disappoints you. They can be disappointments or losses, or kind of that can drive you a bit bonkers. So do your best. Do the repeated effort. Try over and over. Don't slack. Do that and leave it to God's hands. And accept, like, I've done my best. I've studied for this exam. I've done as many repetitions. I've studied hard on this technique or skill. I've done the necessary things for the sales of this product, or for the marketing of this product, or I'm doing my daily duties in this media branch or internet branch or whatever, or I'm doing my daily duties as training skills or something, and the result, whatever it is, will be, trying to, micromanage it, or let's say the results is not going to work. So kind of a detachment towards those things, but fulfilling the responsibilities there. On another level, the third house is your siblings and relatives. There might be a temporary disconnection from them. Maybe they're far away, or maybe there's a cooling off of the relationship, and Ketu kind of can make you disconnect furthermore from relationships, or with neighbors, with relatives, with teammates as well. With some mates and friends, as I said, this can lead to some isolation a little bit socially, and you can disconnect from those things. Or it can mean that you have heavy responsibilities, Saturn, towards some teammates of yours, towards workmates of yours, towards acquaintance or friends of yours, mates that you go, or towards siblings. Or sibling can be going through a more kind of heavy period with more duties, responsibilities, or some difficult thing in their life, and you experience it through them. All right. Also, when it comes to short trips, often they can be mostly about work, or you might have to work on those short trips. It's Saturn, or they might have certain delays, so the plans, or they might be blocked, or they might be more drawn out, and more kind of organizing them takes longer. And another thing is that you might feel like you're judged when you talk, so you keep even more quiet, because Saturn is when we communicate. Some of you, especially the more younger one, might feel like what they say, they feel stupid, and that they're being judged, that they're being stupid, or that they're there's some kind of a blockage in communications, or they might, and they'll be very careful in what they say and how they structure what they say, so it comes out right and they're not misunderstood or judged in some way. um, and that can be heavy, especially for younger people. They prefer to be social, and they can feel like more awkward in social situations and communications. But when it comes to studying hard, when it comes to working on some project that is connected to developing skills, or using a lot of your mind, using a lot of logical thinking, planning, organization, marketing skills, this can give amazing results, very lasting. But it's kind of a requires efforts and takes a lot of your times. So, but if you're studying something, is great. If you're in those careers that the third house that I mentioned, yes, many responsibilities and duties, but again, you can prove your authority there and your expertise. You can strengthen your experience and authority. You can really deepen it. All right, but at the same time, Rahu will be in your ninth house. What you're really passionate about, guys, for the next year, and starting already from the end of 2018, is you get excited about new belief systems, about discovering new knowledge of some sort, and even foreign things. And I remember when Rahu transited my ninth house, I started studying Vedic astrology. I moved from the traditional Western astrology to, I want to know more about those exotic. This is exotic astrology. So Rahu is passionate. Whatever it passes, the North Node brings passion, especially to explore something that is progressive or foreign, or that breaks the rules and norms. And I actually went into astrology that is tropical Vedic astrology. And that was very, very taboo and breaking the norms when I went into that. There was no tropical Vedic astrologers. Now there's so much more. So I went into a much more taboo breaking and unconventional beliefs and higher knowledge, which is the ninth house, when Rahu transited in my ninth house. And actually now it's more and more scholars and astrologers that can read the ancient Vedic books. It's clearly stated there that the signs, or the rashis as they call them, are connected to the solstices and equinoxes and are not connected to the constellations. Only the lunar mansions or the nakshatras are connected to the 27 constellations, not 12. And that the ancient Vedic books actually used tropical zodiac, but back then it was taboo. And basically, sometimes people in Rahu transits their ninth house, they can go into, say, like, I want to go to visit the Tibetan monastery, or I want to travel for, they become hungry to travel for knowledge, to have international travel. And Rahu opens those things. Rahu for long-term trips. Yes, Saturn is making an opposition to the ninth house. It's going to be a bit more hard work to arrange those, but Rahu opens because it gives you so much hunger and lust for international travel, for learning, for higher education, for pre-qualifying as well, that you're going to have access to those things. So also you might become excited about following some spiritual figure, or following some new belief system, or kind of get excited about some, uh, some inspirational figure that you want to follow, that you want to go on some pilgrimage to another country. You're going to get excited about having more adventures. You're going to get excited about knowing more foreigners or people from different backgrounds far away from you, rather than you'll feel a bit apathetic about your everyday people that you meet, your colleagues, your mates, your neighbors. You're going to be, I want exciting new people from foreign places with different belief systems, and Rahu will allow that to happen. Also, Rahu can make you very desirous to go to a foreign country or to relocate of some sort. This can also happen. And just increases the passion for higher knowledge, increases the passion. But there is just one thing with Rahu. You have to be careful that you don't get drawn into charismatic, because Rahu is very charismatic, especially foreign teachers and stuff that are fake, that are, because Rahu is a pretender. It can bring pretending. So sometimes there is danger, especially if it's making hard aspects from the ninth house or the difficult planets there, that you might attract, that you might go after the wrong kind of belief system that's way over your head, for example, uh, or a teacher or something um, that is too controversial of some sort, or that is a fake. But usually, when Rahu transits the ninth house, you get attracted to very different belief systems, to such that so new and so unconventional, or so um, uh, let's say controversial. And you can have a because whatever Rahu transit, it gives you a temporary jump into higher prestige and recognition, and into even more material achievements. So you can have a jump through material achievements and privileges by affiliating with a certain belief system, by affiliating with a certain teacher and following their beliefs, So they can be a big, Rahu tends to rise you suddenly. Also, if you're someone who teaches, say someone who goes to does seminars and teaches people on, you have access to more international travel and teaching. You have access, and there will be heavy responsibilities of administrative duties there. Don't forget Saturn in the third house. Maybe some delays as well with trips, but you will have access to teaching. You have temporary, well, at least while Rahu is in the ninth house, a sudden rise into academia, for example, or into some kind of a passion to have a university degree, or sudden rise through the right through education, or sudden rise through your higher knowledge, or sudden rise through foreigners or foreign travel of some sort, or if you have business connected to foreign places, import, export, to traveling, to higher knowledge, to teaching of some sort. They can be like a sudden rise for you, a sudden or fast rise and material achievement and more privileges that come. All right. Now let's see a few of the other planets. Where are they moving? Oh, and I wanted to say that. No, I don't want to say anything. Uranus is going to make an opposition for you, Scorpios. And Uranus this year, the strongest influence is from 2 till 7 degrees. So if you have anything in Scorpio from 2 till 7 degrees, Uranus will be shaking your life up. It's going to make an opposition to Scorpio. Opposition, it means Uranus is here and your planet in Scorpio, whether it's Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, will be there. Your point in Scorpio. And opposition is about push and pull, about something to do with relationships, or another outer person that introduces this totally new energy into your life. If you're from 0 to 2 degrees, Scorpio, anything Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, these processes already started happening from the spring of 2018, and they will complete in April 2019. So till April 2019, there's still new things, or you're still adapting to those new directions and big changes that are happening. But those of you who have from 2 till 7 degrees, Uranus starts from April 19 till April 2020. So for about 1 year, from April 2019 till April 2020, your life is going to change in a big way. So if it's your ascendant, there might be a sudden appearance of a new partner in your life, because Uranus will be transiting your 7th house cusp from there. Like suddenly someone appearing, changing your life upside down. My husband met me when Uranus transited exactly his 7th house cusp, that a year, the last time Uranus hit. And I was an astrologer, Uranus, it's a very different person, a foreigner, very different than what you're used to till now. And they say that when you meet someone during Uranus transit, it never lasts. It's not the truth, obviously. But often there's those people that come to us during Uranus transit, especially on opposition, whether it's to your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, they come there to awaken us from something, to really change the status quo, to shake us up. And if they manage to do this, and they usually manage, but they're not part of our destiny, they will disappear after that. They've done their role. If not, if they're meant to stay in you, especially if you have indications that you're meant to be with such a person in your birth chart, someone that is Uranian in nature, this person will stay. Like, for example, my husband has Uranus trine Venus trine the seventh house, so he was meant to, it's indicative that his wife would be Uranian in nature. But if he didn't have that, I would just appear and disappear, but change his whole world, like tell him something, and But it can mean someone suddenly appearing in your life, turning it upside down. So a big shift in your relationship status. Also, I've seen people get married when Uranus transiting the seventh house cusp. Suddenly, out of the blue, like sudden change of status, or divorced. Uranus is naturally, if you're in a relationship that is not productive or that is stifling, it will suddenly out of the blue, or if it already has problems, it's not going to survive that. If Uranus is opposing your sun, moon, or ascendant, often this is when it stops, but it feels liberating. You're liberated from that. And if you're dating, there might be some on and off relationships that are coming, that they come and go, or something that is unusual, or sometimes long distance. Or sometimes I've just seen that when Uranus opposes the sun, moon, or ascendant, your partner might be coming and going because they have to work somewhere. There's a kind of the temporary separations with the partner because he has to travel or she has to travel. That's another way it can play out. But if you're in an already shaky relationship, this can really turn things around, and this can indicate the separation unless you do some big change in the relationship. And that means like you relocate somewhere, that you, especially if it's the moon involved or the ascendant, or you change, like a new child comes or something shifts in a big way. And uh, and Uranus often makes us quite rebellious when it transits sun, moon, or ascendant. You want to do what you want to do, or a partner in your life, and they say like, "I'm going on a world trip. I'll be back in 2 months," and you're like, "What?" Or, "I'm gonna go take that job in Iowa and travel back and forth," or you might feel like, "I want to do this." It might happen to you. It might be reflected through a partner because it's an opposition. And it's like some sudden big changes happening in your life through another person, through partner, business, or personal. And when it's the sun in those 2 to 7 degrees, you can change your career. There can be a sudden separation or sudden appearance of a male, important male in your life, sudden change in the life of important males in your life, sudden change of your goals, the need. You can start a career, especially you can change a few times a job during that time, or you can start a career that's more Uranian, that gives you more freedom, that's more freelancing, a career that, and it's going to feel a bit more shaky because it's an opposition. It will feel a bit more stressful, but it pushes it kind of, it will not allow you to stay in the same status quo in your career. Or if you're in a Uranian business, that can be good. It will be a bit stressful, but it can be good. Say Uranian businesses, if you are self-employed, or if you basically are something to do with technologies or with astrology, or working with activism, with socially progressive movements, working with science, working with kind of alternative and very unusual careers and technology, new cutting edge technologies, well, actually they can be a sudden rise for you despite of it being an opposition. There will be some changes there, but and if it's your moon there, maybe there can be some big changes in your family or your emotional world or your hormones as well. Sometimes even the health is affected. A person, when they have Uranus transits, they have a lot of they need more magnesium because the nervous energy in them is kind of off the charts. They can feel like woo woo woo, especially with the moon. The emotions can go up and down, and the changes in your daily life are so many when Uranus changes the moon. Like, you can relocate a few times, or just your emotions can switch suddenly from cold to hot, from detached to excitable. It's exciting if you like that, but if you don't, and actually Scorpios, they're used to kind of this roller coaster emotions. But also it can, moon opposition Uranus can indicate that you disconnect from someone emotionally, you cut the cord with someone, and you don't turn back and look anymore because Uranus is like, bam, new. moving away, no longer trying to drag this emotional burden with me. So it can be very liberating in some cases. But if you're not ready to cut the cord with someone, it can feel like it was forcefully cut for you from the outside, so that there's a big change that has to happen in this relationship or this emotional uh, attachment to someone. Or circumstances of your home or your daily life can become very hectic. No matter if it's your sun, moon, or ascendant, your daily life and everything speeds up. Uranus speeds up the vibrations. It kind of gets super, a lot of surprises, a lot of new things, totally new direction in your life. I got divorced on the Uranus transit and met my husband and started a family and got pregnant and relocated from one continent to another, and my business, which is Uranian, took off. And I work in media and TV, and Uranus rules those things. It can take off, make big changes. And my career changed. So everything within less than a year. So you see how fast paced everything can change as well. Um, all right, but if you want to keep a relationship, you need to change something. Something will change there. Or clients can come and go, or you can break partnerships with certain clients, whether it's your sun, especially the ascendant, the sun, maybe to a less degree the moon. You can break up old clients, and partners can leave business and new ones can come. So it's hectic, but it is exciting, and it's eventually gives you more, makes you feel more truthful to who you are. And usually a person shows you what it is that is actually your authentic self, or some kind of challenge that leads you to understand what you truly are, because Uranus is about true authenticity, and to cut off the unnecessary unceremoniously, and just kind of like, okay, Uranus cuts connections without leaving emotional hang-ups, you know. All right. Then we have Neptune. So Uranus with difficult aspect, yes, it's shocking, but it can be very liberating. Yes, it's unsettling. Your life is not going to be stable. It's going to be ups and downs. But it's, again, it can give you a sudden rise and sudden um, fall as well, but followed by quick changes as well. But it is exciting, and the biggest changes are happening for you. Wow, positive aspect like Neptune is making for you a trine, guys. Neptune is in Pisces, and those of you who are from 14 till 19 degrees, Scorpios, they'll have a trine from Neptune. Well, that's a beautiful aspect this year, but it's not life changing as the Uranus one is. If only the Uranus degrees some really noticeable uh, new beginnings, starting all over, excitable sudden rises, and yes, they're stressful, but they're noticeable. With the trines, yes, Neptune will help you, but it's not going to be stressful. It's not going to topple your life or um, change your status quo much. But it's good, because whether it's your sun, moon, or ascendant there, it means that you'll be more kinder, you're forgiving if it's those degrees. You're going to be more, if you have businesses or goals that are Neptunian, they can happen now with ease. So if you're in the music, in the artistic, and create in kind of a arts, fine arts of some sort, things can start happening for you. The inspiration will flow. You can manifest more. You align to those high inspirations, and your career or your activities connected to art, to music, or to spirituality, or to healing will be happening with ease. And actually, even Saturn is making sextile to all of those degrees. So even Saturn is making sure that these things will implant and give productive results materially. They're not, sorry, that's, I wrote Jupiter, that they're not going to be just some wishful thinking and some positive, because Neptune is not a material planet. You see, it's the things even it rules are not material. You can't catch music, you can't catch find art, those inspirations. The imagination rules Neptune. So anyone who has Scorpio and has those degrees, projects to do with imagination, projects to do with or activities or hobbies to do with spirituality. You become your spirituality more refined, your intuition becomes stronger. You can have almost mediumship skills, or you can have dreams that are correct, but your intuition is right. It's not misleading. If Neptune was making difficult aspect, then I can't guarantee. But Neptune is making a soft aspect, so you align. You get the right inklings, inspirations, and they're not misleading, and your intuition is strong, and the universe is kind of, you can feel like magic is happening around you. You can feel you're kinder, gentler. You can feel that the whole universe is more benevolent towards you, and that like you manifest things just by imagining, just by, like, you can manifest parking spots, you can manifest, like, things will align because Neptune is divine love, and you can feel like God's divine unconditional love is around you. And say you think, you imagine something which is Neptune, you kind of visualize, and it manifests. And it, because Saturn also helps manifest it concretely, because it's also making trine aspect to all those degrees, whether it's sun, moon, or ascendant. So you have a creative, imaginative project, you can manifest it. You have you're doing something with spirituality, career in spirituality, in healing, you can manifest it and things align for you. You're doing career with liquids, with drugs, with pharmacy, you manifest it, there are opportunities. You're doing a career with, I think Neptune also rules a lot of the plastics and stuff like that, and pharmacy, and healing of any sorts as well. Well, things are aligning, or if you're a spiritual guide of some sort, things are aligning. And or even if you're in none of those careers, you can just feel like there is more, and you can even experience more unconditional love, because someone appears in your life who is Neptunian, who is helping you. uh, and of course, Neptune is in a fifth house. It can mean that some love affair uh, that it has the nature of more unconditional feelings appears in your life. Maybe that's why you're spending money on that, you know. But especially if you're a woman and your sun is in those degrees, 14 till 19, Neptune is making trine to the sun. It can indicate a male figure, or your husband if you already have a partner, who has this benevolent influence of more gentleness, kindness, giving you more love, introducing you to opening your spirit to divine love, to spirituality, to charity, to kindness. Or that a partner or male figure appears that is very artistic, or that is, but in a good way, that opens for you inspirations, like a muse to you, that is artistic or spiritual, gentle, opens you to the world of spirituality, might feel like a soulmate. If you're a man and your moon is in those degrees, it can be the woman of such nature, healing, spiritual, gentle, but just kind of some kind of emotional experiences that are healing, that are gentle, that are binding, that a relationship as well can appear, that it's less without boundaries, that is more about merging two souls, like on a spiritual level, and such spiritual experiences. And it's good for travel, voyages of any sort overseas, which is Neptune, which give like, you'd feel like wow, I've been there past lifetimes, or you'd feel spiritually connected to those places wherever you travel. And also any hobbies, you can appear more creative hobbies that you have, Neptune trine from the fifth house, they can appear. And this can also indicate pregnancy or child, because Neptune is fertile from the fifth house. Well, it's especially to your ascendant and to your moon if it makes on those degrees trine. And Neptune can also indicate that new creative projects are appearing, or very refined love affair, or creative projects, or very imaginative, that flow well, or that they're just very that's something to do with your hobbies. They get more refined, and they give you more joy and healing energy. All right, and we have Pluto, and Pluto is also helping you to some extent, guys. Pluto is from 20 till 23 degrees. So if you have your sun, moon, or ascendant in those, Pluto is making a sextile. It's a smaller aspect, but it's a less powerful aspect. But you can feel more empowered. You can feel like you're taking power back, especially in regards to communications, because Pluto is in the third house. In regards to self-expression, it can help you in careers or goals that you have, especially if it's your sun that is in those degrees. That are also the ascendant, that are plutonic in nature, something to do with research, something to do with the occult, something to do with investigation, something. It can empower your career. It can bring a person of power who is helpful to you, person who helps empower you, male figure that helps empower you and is helpful to your male figure. That is plutonic in nature, but in a good way, very penetrating, exciting, not exciting, insightful, very deep, intense, of some sort, and if it's your moon day, it can have positive influence on your family life, or again, your ascendant. It can, in a sense that they can be something to do that improves in your home environment, in your emotional, that you feel emotionally stronger, that you feel emotionally more insightful and penetrating. So plutonic careers and plutonic activities, you can get much more into secrets and things, and you'll get the answers to those. All right, so I think we covered all the planets. And the last thing that I wanted to say is the eclipses don't affect you directly, guys. They're happening in the third and ninth house. So the things that I talked about, the third and ninth house, are going to happen to you more. But there is Mercury is going retrograde 3 times, and it's always in signs, in water signs that are actually supportive for you. In March, Mercury is going retrograde in Pisces, which is your fifth house. So in March, you might be revising maybe someone from the past love affair can come up, or if you can think about it more, so you can rethink it, see it from a different perspective, release it. There might be some creative project that you're working on that you have to put final touches or fix some mistakes there or edit certain things, and they come up to the surface that you have to correct. If you're working with students, old students can come back to you. Or if you're doing something in regards to being in the center stage, whether you're an actor, performer, whether you're a spokesperson of some sort, you might be having to put extra efforts with your skills to prepare or something like that. Or it can mean that romantically you have some important conversations in regards to romantic relationships, giving and expressing of love. That might escalate to some extent as well, but that they're about making things clearer. And sometimes a romantic relationship can also fall apart if it's not the right one, because Mercury wants to balance things, to make them, to change the rules, so to speak. Also, there can be some important conversations in regards to children, with your children, that or some important developments in regards to that. And then Mercury goes retrograde again in July, in Cancer mostly, part of Leo as well. But Cancer is, for you, Scorpios, your ninth house. So there can be some having to work extra hard on something to do with higher education, having to correct some documents for legalizing a foreign travel. Maybe there might be some delays or having to fix something, documents to do with faraway places, import, export, business of traveling of some sort, or communications with foreigners. They might get more complicated. You might have to work harder on it, or any plans to do with teaching, with lecturing. They might, you might need to be ready for plan B and C. Or if you're traveling to faraway places with a plane or something, you might have to be careful, because there might be surprises there. But again, the results can be really good eventually. Just things don't go according to plan, but they can be very good as well. And in November, this one you will feel it's happening in your sign, Scorpio. Mercury goes retrograde from kind of the 1st till the 20th of November in the following degrees, from 10 to 29 degrees in Scorpio. So if you have Sun, Moon, or Ascendant from 10 till 29 degrees Scorpio, November, maybe even part of October, is pivotal. Can be life-changing in some way. It can be about you doing some very important project, which is mercurial, which requires writing, speaking, talking, marketing, business administration, organization, planning, meetings, and that requires extra effort and work from you. And it usually tends to be a good thing. Yes, some mistakes, projects have to be from the past have to be retouched, communications from the past come back, projects that uh, you, especially mercurial, some important communications have to be said, and also important relationships, things that you've been keeping quiet about relationships, they'll come on the surface now. You'll address them, and if something is not right, it will have to be corrected. And if it cannot be corrected, then it's released basically from your life. I had Mercury transit over my Sun 3 times, and I broke up a business partnership. It was very stressful. Uh, it got quite intense, even angry with communications, but it was the best thing that happened for me. And I was so grateful. So things escalate, things that you have, because this person was basically, I kept for years not saying anything, but I was not happy at all. And when Mercury went retrograde, I just went and addressed, and they started attacking me and stuff. But like some very important things happen when Mercury goes retrograde in your own sign. Some very important communications. Some, especially they're often connected to arranging something, planning something, or your business, or your work, or maybe often there are more duties and responsibilities with mercurial duties, because retrograde planet requires 3 times the effort with, fixing problems with communication, with writing, with speaking, with uh, planning, arranging work duties and stuff like that. But the final results can be extremely good. You can complete some business project by December. You can have a much better project. You can have a much better relationship than initially. But while Mercury is retrograde, you have to address those issues and work on them. So there we go, Scorpio. This is the thing for you. Oh yes, and of course when Mars, the days that Mars is in most active for you, when you'll be most active, it's from March, I think. Mars is entering your, Mars from the 15th of February, so mid-February, till, so you can remember it easier, till April. So mid-February and March, you have Mars in your 7th house. So mid-February to March, you can feel like others are stressing you more, that they're pushing your buttons more. There can be more arguments with people. So these are more critical times. Be careful. But also you can be very constructive, work on a project with another, get a lot of things done. But it's more likelihood that clients and others and partners and business or personal partners, marriage partners are more irritable, and you're more irritated with them. And a lot of problems, they address them to you then, and they're like, this is what I'm not happy with, or you might feel attacked, or you might get easily frustrated. So be careful when Mars is around. Don't overreact. Take a day to respond with email, whatever, not immediately. But also the things that aggravate you, they're exactly the ones that push you to do something, to fix something, to make it better, and to be more active. So others will be the pushing force for you to make changes. Others will be the ones that activate you into to be more productive, to be more efficient, to be more initiative. And then after that, Mars from July till August, till mid-August again, Mars is in your 10th house in Aries. So this is fantastic time to be extremely, and this is when you will be July to mid-August, you'll be very busy with career, with achieving more social, public visibility. You'll be very possibly active with the work, yet it might be stressful, of course. But these are the most hectic months when Mars is in the fixed signs for you. And this time you might have some fights with authority figures, with father figures, with bosses. But at the same time, if you're a boss yourself, you're going to be much more productive, much more driven, much more ambitious, or whatever career it is, you might just have a lot more workload that you have to push, but you have the energy to tackle it. And again, you might be more reactive, more irritable, but you are driven to succeed and you can get a lot done. And then the final time Mars very strongly activates you, it's from the November 20th to the end of the year. That's when Mars enters your sign, Scorpio. Powerful new beginnings for you then. You can get like, you're gonna feel like a burst of energy then. Mars hasn't been by that time in your sign for 2.5 years. You're gonna initiate new things. You can get physically more active. You can definitely start new projects, and they'll be, you'd have the force for that, you'd have the courage, you'd have the energy for that. Again, you can be more irritable this time. You might have to fight some battle, but Mars, of course, hopefully is the right battle that you're fighting, and Mars helps you win that battle when it transits the first house. But very, very active time of the year, those periods, especially November to the end of 2019. And because Mars is in its own sign, you're going to feel empowered. You're going to feel more physically active. You're going to feel more stronger physically. Yes, more irritable, but this irritation pushes you to start new things. It pushes you to tackle problems, to be courageous, to get things done, to initiate new things. So there we go, Scorpios. This was your 2019 overall horoscope. If you want a breakdown month by month, I'm doing written ones with my teacher. They'll be ready on the 25th, and the written ones will be month by month, day by day, almost. So that's a different thing, but it's taken a long time to complete those. So thank you so much, and enjoy 2019.